Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to be doing a Battletome update review for the Sons of Behemat. Now, for those who are unaware, Sons of Behemat are getting a Battletome update inside White Dwarf number 467. So this update goes through a bunch of things, giving Sons of Behemat a bunch of updates to bring them into the age of 3rd edition. This will feature stuff such as their own unique battle tactics, their own unique core battalions and grand strategies as well, along with their own Path to Glory section, because Sons of Behemat, as we all know, don't function quite like a normal army, so all of this is really well needed. Now, something to mention as well at this is, this does seem like this will be the first of many Battletome updates. I did a video talking about this not too long ago, talking about how and why we might need to do this and what this could mean for the game. But all in all, I think on a very high level, this is a fantastic update to Sons of Behemat, and if everything we get from these Battletome updates is like this Sons of Behemat one, we're going to be in for a real treat with Age of Sigmar, because I do think this has been well thought out. It's definitely not making the army anywhere too strong. It's not just making them overpowered. It seems like they're really well thought out. It's making you do interesting things with the battle tactics and grand strategies, and the core battalions are giving them different ways to get the same benefits. And we'll talk all about that in detail in a second, but yeah, that's my high level thought. I really like this. I was hesitant at first of what this might bring, but this single one here gives me a lot of hope for the future of Age of Sigmar 3.0 if this is how they're going to do it. I can't wait to see those Cruel Boys, or rather Auric Warclans and Stormcast Eternal Battletomes real soon. So without further ado, let's get cracking into this review. Let's talk about everything that's in there, and let's just have a bit of fun. Alright, so for starters, let's look at their grand strategy. So the Sons of Behemat received one brand new grand strategy that is only available to them as a faction. Now, this is really cool. Grand strategies, I think, were the thing in this that I was at least worried about. You know, and the end of the day, grand strategies are like that third tiebreaker in Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. So I didn't think any of these were really going to matter, you know. Most of the ones in the current GHB are really easy to achieve. Most of them aren't hard. I mean, the hardest one is probably Slay the Warlord, with some of the characters out there at the moment that can be the Warlord. Makes that particularly difficult, but I really don't think there's many that are very hard to do. And so I wasn't really worried about what this would bring at all. So they could have done anything in this and I really wouldn't have minded at all. But the one they've gotten is Make the Land Tremble. So when the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if any friendly units made a run or charge move in every battle round. It does not have to be the same unit that makes a run or charge move in every battle round. So this right here, this is a cool one. This is thematic. This wants your Gargants to be moving across the table, wants them to be fighting, it wants them to be moving about. And I do like that it's run or charge, because this means you're not having to do foolhardy charges that are going to see a mega-gargant on its last 2 wounds die trying to achieve your grand strategy and all that sort of stuff, which defeats the purpose of a grand strategy. This is supposed to be some ultimate strategy of your army. But this is just the Gargants picking up gold or charging and destroying and wreaking havoc upon their foes. I really do like it. It could be a little bit of an issue trying to keep track of this, I guess, trying to figure out, did I do this, did I do this? But, you know, when you've got an army of 4 or 5 models, you know, what is the max Gargant army is 10 models-ish, you know, there's really not going to be much of an issue keeping track of this, really. So I do think this is a nice grand strategy. I probably think we're going to see maybe a few Gargant armies do this, because you're going to want to be doing this anyway. Whether it's charging and destroying stuff with gate breakers, or having your Kraken Eaters run to claim objectives and use their better rules for capturing on them, I think this is a really solid one for Gargants to be taking, because you're going to be doing this stuff anyway. It just means your army is going to be doing something that's thematic to them, and who doesn't love a bit of narrative even in their competitive play? What do you all think of this one, though? I'm a big fan. I don't think it changes much. It's a grand strategy. It's like that last tiebreaker at the end of the game when you've completed the same amount of battle tactics, when you've got the same amount of points. It sort of, you know, splits the difference. But what do you think of this one? I really like it, and I hope all grand strategies are like this, just making you do something thematic to get some extra points at the end of the game to help break a tied game. And next up is the battle tactics. So battle tactics were one of the ones I guess I was a little bit worried about. My initial concerns were that maybe these might make the game a little bit too easy. These could be easily skewed to be easily done things for some, and other armies have really hard ones to do. I think though, with the battle tactics we've seen here, they've actually picked some really good ones that make you use the thematic abilities of the army and do things with them, make you play like the army should based on its narrative and lore. So I'm always a big fan of this sort of stuff. I love when a competitive style of the game can be made to feel narrative, when you can tell that story on the table whilst having a good competitive game with your opponent. That's a great sign of some good design, and I do think that all these different battle tactics for the Sons of Behemat we see here are really fun, they're interesting, they're a challenge to complete in some cases, but also reward you for playing like your Gargant should based on the narrative. Anyway, let's get looking into them. So for starters, we've got the battle tactic, That's Mine. So you pick one objective on the battlefield wholly outside of your territory. You complete this tactic if that objective marker is kicked away and wholly within your territory at the end of the game. Now we know the Gargants have their ability to kick objectives around the table, and this is a really cool one. Kicking something back into your home territory is going to be a really fun thing to do. I've played many games against Gargants, and I know lots of my friends who have proper Gargant armies love kicking objectives around. It's one of the funnest things to do on the table. So this is a really cool objective to have in the game. It's not always easy to do because you generally, I think, have to spend command points to do this. Thus, it's using a resource to complete a battle tactic, which is cool and fine, but it does mean that resource is not being spent on other things. So that's something worth considering, and that's what makes this particular battle tactic fun and interesting, and, well, I think a little bit balanced. We then got Wrecking Crew, which is probably the simplest and easiest of all three to achieve, because it's or at least I guess on the face of it, because certainly this can be hard to do. You complete this tactic if a faction terrain feature in your opponent's army is demolished this turn. Cool. Really like this, the ability to destroy objectives, nice. This will have some fun times in it. I mean, one of the things with Gargants is you're always looking to smash your opponent's objectives. This can, of course, make sure this battle tactic can be completed by any of your mega-gargants in your army. It makes for a really fun, interesting one to do, but it does allow you more options to do this particular battle tactic with. It's a fun one. It's simple. It's just playing around with doing something that's a core mechanic of the game and making you do it. I mean, lots of Gargant players, lots of people with monsters love going around and smashing other people's faction terrain. It's one of the most satisfying things in a game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, destroying your opponent's faction terrain, so definitely like this one. Man Skittles is the last one, and this one has to be completed by a certain particular type of mega-gargant. So you complete this battle tactic if a friendly mega-gargant War Stomper uses its held body ability, the enemy model you pick up from the first part of the ability is slain, an enemy battle line unit is picked as the target for the second part of the ability, and that unit suffers any mortal wounds as a result. So this one has a whole load of ands, but it really is quite simple. It's do the thing with your War Stomper, make him do his held body ability and have it kill the model and the unit suffer wounds. Pretty much get it off. I mean, this one can be completely random. It's really hard to sort of guarantee that you're ever going to get this thing off, but it's a cool one to have. It's one of those things where there are going to be times when you're running out of battle tactics and you're not always going to have all of them available to you. This is one of those ones where, well, if you've got a War Stomper on the table, it's just going to give you this option to where you might never have those two battle tactic points available to you, get them. So it can always be a bailout one. This is a really cool one to have as like that other option of like, oh, I've got no other options, so might as well go for Man Skittles because there's absolutely nothing else I can do. It's that really great option one to sort of fill in those gaps. And those sort of battle tactics are really, really useful in the game. So that's where I think this one's going to fall. It's never going to be one of the ones you use all the time, but it's definitely going to be that one you can use to plug the gaps in your army when you're struggling to find another suitable battle tactic to use. And so next, I guess, and the last of the match play rules for the army are the core battalions. Now, this was another one that I was initially a little bit hesitant to look at. However, I did feel with the Sons of Behemat in particular, I'm not fussed with them getting core battalions, as obviously a lot of the current core battalions don't work. Now, I will say, looking at this, I'm really happy with what they've done. Now, the biggest thing here is the benefits for the army. They don't get any new benefits. They just get things like Unified, Magnificent, Swift. They're the only ones that actually get. They don't get any of the others with these, but they do get benefits that we already know exist. They're just getting the standard sort of set limit of abilities, just different ways to get those things into your army. And I'm not against this for any army getting in any way. I think this is a really strong way to do it, just having these set benefits that anyone has access to so long as they do these certain loopholes to get them through. And Sons of Behemat, more than anyone, needed this just to sort of give them the most of what they can get. So with that said, I'm really happy with what they got and how they've gone about making core battalions for specific armies. It definitely looks like they're trying to not go down a road of giving specific abilities to battalions with the core battalions so that we don't have any of those haves and have-nots. Everyone gets access to the same things, they just maybe have to go through different ways to get it. And I'm not against that so long as we don't get into anything too ridiculous with this. So for starters, we get Bosses of the Stomp. The general one here is this is effectively their command entourage battalion. Required are 2 mega-gargants, and you have the option to have 2 other mega-gargants in this battalion. This battalion has a couple of cool things. First of all, it gives us a 1-drop mega-gargant army, because obviously 4 mega-gargants can make up a 2k army, and one of the benefits is they get to the choice of either Unified or Magnificent. Unified is the one where it becomes a 1-drop, so 4 mega-gargants can be a 1-drop army, that's cool. Or you can get an artifact in this, so you can definitely get a extra artifact. This is generally going to be the glowy hat or whatever it's called to get the artifact, the wizard cast gargant version, and you're also going to be able to take a 5-up save on one of your more survivable gargants. So you can have a wizard and have a more survivable one for your general. Cool. This is going to give us the most of what we want. I can't wait to see all those amazing wizard gargants running around that people are going to convert. They're going to look amazing. And so that's a strong battalion. It just gives us options that other armies already had, but enables the Gargants to play in that sort of space and have access to those types of armies and those types of things that other armies already get. Foot Sloggers is the other core battalion. Required are 2 Man Crusher units, and then you have the optional choices of 1 Mega Gargant and another Man Crusher unit. Now, first of all, the other benefit of this is this can also be unified, so you can have the other variation of a army of Gargants, another 2,000 point here in a different variation. Generally, I believe it's the War Stomper who goes really well with the Man Crushers. You can build up that army and make those 9 babies and 1 Mega Gargant all as a 1-drop army. Cool. And they also get the Swift ability as well, which is going to give them access to some free run throughout the game. Nothing too groundbreaking here, but this does give you access when you combine the 2 battalions to maybe take a 3-drop Gargant army here with some Man Crushers being in a unified army, and then obviously having the Mega Gargants to give you the extra artifact. I think that's going to be a very common thing to see, but I really do like this. I mean, this is cool and fun, and it just gives the Gargants the options to play in that space. But I do think we're going to probably see something along the lines of a Boss of the Stomp with 2 Mega Gargants taking Magnificent, and then we're going to see a Foot Sloggers with 2 units of Man Crushers and a Mega, or you know, in some variation of that Foot Slogger battalion filling out and lowering our drops down to 3, which would be good for the Gargants. If you're looking at these, what are you thinking of looking at? How do you feel about them? How do you feel about core battalions for armies? Are you okay with core battalions if they go down this road for everyone, just giving them different ways to get there? It'd be really interesting to see. And so, lastly, Path to Glory. Now, I don't want to go too much into this because there's definitely fun in going and picking up this issue of White Dwarf for yourself and building up your own Path to Glory for your Mega Gargants. And there's just a ton of information to go through here that doesn't really make sense if I'm not building one myself. So we're just going to talk a little bit about all the key points because I do feel their particular Path to Glory is really interesting in this, unlike a lot of the others. So for starters, the Sons of Behemat earned their own unique ranks. They have effectively this big hill, which is their main Gargant, and they don't have rules for holding territory or building strongholds. It all sort of focuses around this big hill, which is their main gargant, and he gains ranks, and you effectively get the same sort of abilities or get those territories and stuff based on how big your big hill gets. Whether or not he turns into, like, he starts off as a rising gargant or turns into a mighty gargant or an ancient or elder gargant. He gets better, and then you sort of follow along a similar path of that. It just does its own unique way of getting there. The order of battle limits in this are really interesting as well, because they obviously take out, the monster restrictions and all of that, and they just replace it with mega-gargant and man-crusher unit restrictions in this, depending on what size game you're playing. And what's cool about this as well is man-crushers can only ever be purchased as units of 1 on your order of battle. So each of your man-crushers gains their own unique sort of story to them. Every gargant in your army is going to mean something. However, when you pick your army for battle, you're going to be able to combine man-crushers into units of 3, only into units of 3. And if you do so, they're going to get some interesting abilities where you can have like veteran abilities to them to sort of make a leader and stuff like that. It can be really cool. And also allocating your lingering wounds and stuff to them is its own unique sort of method based on this as well. They also have their own unique aftermath sequence and territory management in this, which is its own kettle of fish there. And it's just a really interesting sort of look and just a slight change to make this army work. Much like everything in this whole sort of update to the Battletome, it makes it work in the new edition. Really, really like this. In general, like everything in this whole sort of book and this little White Dwarf update, I'm really a big fan of. And so, a short little summary. I, for one, was hesitant. I will completely admit that. Or really, you can just go check my old video on all of this when we first got the first information on this, on how I really felt about it all at the time. But I will say, I think everyone sort of looked at this in the wrong way to start with. Have faith if this is what we've got for the first one of these Battletome updates. I'm really excited to see what we get. As I mentioned at the start of the video, in the new Battletomes for the Auric War Clans and Stormcast Eternals, this is what we're getting for an army update. What is a full book going to look like? This is going to be amazing, and it really does just give me a lot of hope for more of these in the future. I look forward to seeing what armies are next. Judging on how this is Sons of Behemat, I think we're going to see a lot of the more recent Battletomes get this sort of update. So I'm expecting to see maybe Slaanesh, Daughters of Cain, Soulblight Gravelords, Lumineth Realm Lords, and that sort of thing in this. But what do you think of all of this? Are you happy how we're going? Are you happy how to sort of all these big hot topics like battle tactics and all that were handled in this little update? What do you think of it all? And what would you like to see for your own army in a Battletome update like this? What would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below. Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, while you're at it, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video to our Discord server. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either on Patreon or YouTube members, both of which are linked in the description of the video, as is a link to our Teespring store where you can purchase some merch to help support the channel as well. We'd like to give a shout out to everyone who does help support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. So a special thanks to all our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dynet226. And thank you again to all our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, Locke Lorick, Matt Mollim, Becca Kinski Groupie, and the Johnny84. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the fantastic art for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does a fantastic job at helping run and do all the background work for our Discord server. Once again, everyone, thank you all for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.